hello, my silky friends. How are you doing? Oops. Oh, I'm having a time tonight. Hello. How are you doing? And welcome to Jamboree, who is going to sit on. We wanted to do this like on two different screens, but PC problems. PC problems. So I am so excited about tonight's live stream because it's interesting and like, oh my gosh, that this is going to be. It is just a precursor for tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central, just like tonight. I'm going to have Carol Stanhope on, and she's been on before, and she kind of gave her whole story. But y'all, what she's got to show you tomorrow is crazy. Like, she is going to show you the physical proof of the implants and the things that we're going to be talking about tonight. She is an MK Ultra Project Bluebird survivor and a survivor of the moving of humans. Y'all know what I mean. So, yeah, if you have never seen Carol, she is a doll. And please tune in tomorrow or catch it on the replay. But I felt like the subject was just so intense, and a lot of people really don't have a whole lot of knowledge about what was going on back in the 50s and 60s where this started. So we're going to go and look at all this stuff. And, I just thought I'd top it off with, okay, let me see what, news is anybody, when I look up mind control device, what do I find? Y'all, I got very, very worried because, we're not just going to be talking about the past. We're talking about the present and the future, which is horrifying. Yeah. So what you got to say, Jamboree?
I'm really excited because I've always been interested in these kinds of things, but, there's not a lot of market for being interested in CIA programs.
No, there's not. Let me say hello to everybody. Hello, Pam Frenchman. Thank you. Membership. I don't know if it renewed or what, but let me throw this up here. Thank you so much. Pam is also a mod, so usually I do not have a whole lot of problem with people in here, generally speaking. So just, like, we don't have to agree. Let's just be nice. Hello, Rabbit. Nice to see you. Yes, it is a very spicy topic. Samantha, whoop. Good to see you. I missed you. I think, were you here the last one? I can't even remember. Like, look, so many days have passed, I don't know. Freeze dry it. Yay, I'm glad you're here for a live too. This is going to be a good one. And, we're going to look through a lot of stuff. Hiawatha. Whoop. Yeah, so Jam is, a little bit nerdy like I am when it comes to things like CIA projects and MK Ultra. Tell us, because you are Gen Z. We did a show the other night, Gen X versus Gen Z. So you're Gen Z. How did you even hear about MK Ultra and that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, I'd heard the term a lot, just like in movies and stuff like that. I wasn't for sure what it was, but mostly when I watched Stranger Things, I started to get like really into like government experiments and things related to MK Ultra.
Yeah. If y'all don't know, just, another bit of knowledge to put another wrinkle in your brain. The Netflix series Stranger Things is actually based off the Montauk project that in New York that they swear never happened, but yet the building is still there. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that there was something there. And the thing is they go, even if it wasn't, because this was what, in the 80s, the Montauk Project. And so it was like an extension of MK Ultra that started in like the 50s and 60s. But now it was in the 80s, so that's where Stranger Things picks up on it. And it's very interesting. Pretty much the same, though. Same ridiculousness and human guinea pigs. Different decade, right? All right, so I want to show you. Let me start with showing you a few things. Let me get this right. This is from the New York Times, and I'm not sure if we're going to be able to watch. They want me to subscribe. Wait. Hold on just a second. Oh, okay. Hold on. I'll get there. Wait, there we go. All right. Okay. Is that right? Sorry. Sorry. All right. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for y'all. Because this was, and please excuse the, let me see if I can get that to come down. There we go. This was in November 15th of 1970. Brain researcher Jose Delgado asks, what kind of humans would we like to construct? I mean, the title in itself is horrifying, okay? But this is, so if you want to, you want to subscribe, you want a print of it. By the way, I am going to give you, let me go ahead and copy this link. I'm going to be throwing links down here, and I'm going to give you a link to a FOIA. It was a FOIA request regarding Project Bluebird, which then turned into Project Artichoke, and then it evolved on into MK Ultra. It had a bunch of different names. There was another one in there too. All right, but in 1970, this came across the New York Times, and Dr. Jose Delgado, he was of the Yale University. I'm just going to give you a real close, because they go in a lot of depth. But what happened, let me stop this for just a second. What happened is they actually, across the New York Times, okay, listen to this. There's so much controversy over bullfighting today, so you don't hear a lot about it. It is still a thing. But back, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, not so much. And what Dr. Delgado did is he implanted these things called stemosevers. And he takes it he implants into the brain of a bull. And he goes out into the bull ring, big crowd. And of course, like someone does, he's, agitating the bull. The bull comes charging at him. Now, this is all documented, all right? This is all filmed. This is all pictures. And I'll show you some of those in a little bit. But as the bull is charging towards him, he literally has what's like a remote control. And he pushes the button, and the bull stops dead in its tracks. And so this was the picture and the whole thing that hit the New York Times. It was like a major, news story. And of course, you didn't have the internet. You didn't have people, it was just like people reading the Sunday paper. But they were reading about this kind of stuff. And, they're like, oh, the CIA, mind control. And this was like really the proof of Delgado's work. So let's go back and look at that. Actually, I might do this. Is it bigger this way? Can you see it? Let me see which way does it look better. That way, I guess. All right. So it's ESB, electrical stimulation of the brain. That is what we're talking about. And it says that he was one of the leading pioneers in its refinement and development. He is also the impassioned prophet of a new psycho-civilized society whose members would influence and alter their own mental functions to create a happier, less destructive, and better balanced man. I mean, it sounds like a good idea, right? Sorta? I don't know. What do you think? Somebody said you can be a happier, less destructive human.
I feel like this is how every, dystopian novel starts.
Yeah, it really is. Um, yeah, so this is talking about, he started with chimps and cats. All right, so this really is talking about, basically him, his interview. And again, there's so much stuff to cover. I am not going to go through all of this. Um, I'm going to throw this link. Hello, Daniel Price. Uh, but if you want to read the whole New York Times article, I'm trying to catch up with some other people. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Daniel. All right. Um, so let's go to another one because this one is even worse. I think it's this. Oh, wait. Yeah. Yeah, it's this one. Make sure you're seeing that. Yeah. Okay, let's go back up here because this picture is very, very important and you'll see why tomorrow night. Okay, this is an x-ray of a chimp. And if you notice up here, you see like these long kind of bars. These are electrodes. Now, this is not on the outside of his head. This is on the inside. These are implants. Now, these look like really big ones. I mean, you have to think too, back then, technology wasn't like, we didn't have like nano stuff. Yeah, remember back then, like to do hardly nothing with a computer, it would be the size of a house, just to get a simple answer to a question.
Yeah, I remember.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't, like, watch some old movies or even, sitcoms that have computer stuff. Like, it's crazy the size of these computers. And now, we have all this stuff on our smartphones. But, so everything is a little bit bigger. But yeah, this is from Cabinet. Let me go ahead and copy this one because you might want to read the whole thing. This is from Cabinet magazine. Okay, and it again, Delgado was an interesting person, and all of these articles talk about where he lives and his mannerisms. All right, interesting. But now he is from Madrid, and I believe that Carol told me that he passed away in 2011. Finally. Now, I say finally, Delgado was not a good guy, okay? He was not, he was very, he wanted to prove his points, but the moral issues of some of the experiments, not so much. All right, so I wanted to, it talks about his, education, blah, blah, blah. All right, but here is what really bothered me. After a series of spectacular experiments on animals in Bermuda, Delgado wrote, "If you insert electrodes directly into the brains of cats and apes, they will behave like electronic toys. A whole series of motor functions can be trigger based on which button the experimenter pushes. This applies to all body parts, front and back paws, the tail, the hind parts, the head, and the ears." Can you imagine, like, turning your pet? I'm not gonna lie. There's sometimes wish I could control some of the animals around here, but not like this. Okay, so it goes on. I mean, and this is what he's doing. Like, just implant. Can you imagine? Like, what is that poor animal thinking?
Right.
Like, it's just moving. However, okay, but using electrostimulation in a group of gibbon apes. Sorry. That's hard to say. Gibbon
What's
apes.
eating gibbon apes?
It's the Stemo-saver. That's what's eating gibbon apes. Gibbon apes. Delgado succeeded in dismantling the usual power structure within the group. Okay, because every animal, everybody, we have a hierarchy, and so do animals, like whether it's a pack of wolves or whatever. So apes do definitely have this same kind of societal constraints. He gave a female ape with a low with a low ranking, a control box connected to electrodes that were implanted in the group's alpha male. And the female learned to use the box to turn the alpha male on and off at will. I mean, I know, y'all, some of you ladies and wives out there, you're thinking, I could use a stemo saver. I'd get him to take the trash out, whatever. But this is, to me, this is horrifying. Now, again, this is back in the 50s and 60s. I mean, but you have to, do you, understand, Jamboree, how strong a suggestion these stemo savers have to be for the alpha male to do what a low-ranking female says?
Yeah.
I mean, that takes away free will. Like, he's pretty much a robot too, like a little toy.
Mm-hmm.
The electrodes were inserted into the ape's brain and connected to an instrument that Delgado called the stemo saver. I think it's stemo. It might be stemo saver. I'll ask Carol tomorrow which she thinks it is. But the stemo saver was an ideal instrument for two-way communication. Researchers could affect at the same time register activity in the brain. Now, remember that about the registering activity, because we're going to bring that to modern day in a little while. From earlier prototypes where the lab animals were connected with wires, and they went wireless, a remote control model was later developed that could send and receive signals over FM waves. Okay, so quote, just look down to the end of this. We have already established radio contact with space. It is now time to establish contact with the human brain. That would be a miracle for some people, I'm just saying. Let us connect to your brain. Let's see if we find one. Okay, so let me go back to... Okay, what do you think? What are your thanks? Your thanks. What are your thanks? Your thanks. I need a stemo saver. Not really. What are your thoughts so far?
That's really scary, especially the fact that the first thought was we need to learn how to access human brains. Like, that's not a thought that would really be in my mind.
Exactly. It's like, oh, okay, we can control this. And here's the thing. When we get more into modern day and what they're doing, you have to stop and think. Now, remember, what have I always said on this channel? Think. Use your head, think. Which most of you, almost everybody that watches my channel does do that, except maybe the trolls. But, that's the thing, is you have to think, not just about what they're presenting you with, but what does this mean, the big picture? Like, because they're going to make it sound like, oh, this is great, this is wonderful. Yeah, but it's a double-sided coin, okay? Mm-hmm. Or a double-edged sword, whichever one you want to do. Let me see what y'all are saying just for a minute before I pull up another article. Because, again, I had thought, Hiawatha, you know what? Probably somebody who knows what they're doing could pin the links. I tried last time, whatever we were talking about, Project 2025, because I tried. I don't know how. I did a whole bunch of things, but they didn't stay. But I tell you what I will do. Like maybe later after this, I'll edit the video and add all the links down on here. And maybe some more. Like, they are so good. And I want you all to be able to do what I did and pull up the actual... it's not that they're that... they are descriptive, but... It's not that they're that phenomenal, but you can actually download a copy from the FOIA request from the CIA, and you can tell, like, it's their documents, the way things were written, 60, 70 years ago. It's crazy. Lee Cordell, hello. Daniel Price. Yes, they conducted experiments on chimps because they were the most closely related to humans. 99% identical DNA and body structure. Elon Musk wants people to have Neuralink chips installed. Yeah, we're gonna. Oh my gosh, yeah, you're gonna get to that.
I haven't seen anything like that from Elon Musk. I don't keep up with him, but I just particularly don't like the guy, but there's another reason.
Well, here's the thing. When I was reading like more modern articles, that would like potentially have an impact on us, his name was brought up a lot.
I I don't know much about him other than he steals ideas and ruin Twitter.
Well, he definitely has got his hand in a lot of pies. Let's see. Uh, okay, let me go back onto this. If you can manipulate the electrical impulses of behavior centers, you can have a creature do whatever you want it to. That's why they used to do lobotomies before they had modern technology. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and that was terrible, right? Lobotomies. I mean, there are some people that there really was nothing else they could do because of the violence factor, but for the most part, it was horrific. Now I know what was wrong with my parents. Um, let's see. Yes. And as a matter of fact, electroshock therapy, Daniel, is still used. Yeah, it is still used. It's not supposedly a punishment, and it is different. It is really different than the way they used to do it. But even, I don't know, it's been a few years now, but, since I've been in nursing, when I went to Tennessee, I was looking for a job in Memphis, and one of the hospitals happened to have an opening in electroshock therapy in that department, and I interviewed for that position. They offered me the job, and I had a lot of concerns. Like, I asked a lot of questions. Like, I didn't know that's what I was going in for. I was just going in like for a hospital interview. Okay, and they said, no, this is the department. And it was horrifying. And they could see the look on my face. And I'm like, you know, they're like, no, 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 it's not like it used to be. But it had weird days and hours. And I just didn't feel it wasn't full time. And I was like, I think I'm going to stay out of this whole area. But, some people swear by it. It's supposed to really help. I don't want anybody shocking me with anything. Um, yeah, Samantha, exactly. This is what Dahmer was trying to do on his simple, basic level, is turning people into dolls, robots, just to do what they want. All right. I'm gonna skip on down for a little bit. Yes, Texas Patty, one of the Kennedy girls did have a lobotomy. Yeah, that's a really sad story. Um, Hello, Michelle. Yeah, I have read a lot. I mean, I've seen a lot about uh that. I don't know. I don't know. The jury's still out on my head whether that really is helpful or not. Um, all right, let me go somewhere else. All right, let's look at uh let's see. Carol sent me a lot of stuff and I found a lot of stuff as well. Is this what I'm Okay. Let me grab this link for you because um this again is Delgado, and let me bring this up here. Oh, let me bring this all the way up. Yeah, I can't play his whole interview or even much of it because it will be copyright stricken. This is from Cognitive Liberty Online. Here is the man himself, Jose Delgado, implants and electromagnetic mind control, stopping the furious bull. Now, if you notice right here, this implant he's holding, it's not very big. And, I mean, I've got some, yeah, you're going to see some stuff from Carol tomorrow. Wow. All right, let me see how this is. Let me make this a little bit bigger for y'all. Okay. All right, so this is to the right. You see the picture of, the test with the implants and the bull. This stuff right here, this is horrific. These are implants on the outside of the skull. I mean, look, PETA is not always like it can go too far, but I'm going to tell you something. There's a reason that PETA was started. This right here. This is terrible. All right. Let's see if we can play this.
Electronic mind control research is not new. A scientific milestone in this area came in the 1960s when Dr. Jose Delgado demonstrated remote control over a charging bull.
All right, I'm going to stop that for a second just because I have to. Hoping not to get a strike. Let's see.
By connecting a radio antenna to electrodes inserted into the bull's brain, Delgado proved that the animal's aggressive impulses could be thwarted by electronically manipulating the bull's muscle reflexes.
Do you realize the fantastic possibilities if from the outside we could modify the inside? Could we give messages to the inside? But the beauty is that now we are not using electrodes.
In recent years, Delgado has shown that the behavior of monkeys can be altered using low-power, pulsating magnetic fields. But in these experiments, there were no antenna implants.
Any function in the brain, emotions, intellect, personality, well, could be perhaps modified by this non-invasive technology.
Is that horrifying or what? Let me make this full screen for y'all. Okay.
Delgado's research has so far been limited to animals. But in the Soviet Union, a radio frequency, or RF device, has been used for over 30 years to manipulate the moods of mental patients.
Okay. All right. So you see, and then this is him again. This is another. This is all in Spanish, so I'm not gonna share this one with you. But let me put this. Let me put this in the chat real quick, so you can look that up and read all about that. Let me see what you're saying over here. Klaus Schwab says you will all have a chip in your brain. Scary and creepy. Yeah, that's what they're trying. And then, look, that's the goal. And I'm going to show you reasons why you're going to say, that's a good idea. Let's do that. Look, that's the thing. They can't, if I came up to you and I said, oh, I want to control your whole life and your mind and everything, what would you say?
Well, I'd be like, no, I'm okay. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. But if you had a disease or something and I said, I can cure you, but you're going to have to let me put these mind control things in, and it's not just diseases, but we'll get there. Like, I'm serious. All right, let's look at, let me look at some more stuff. All right, this is really important because I'm not going to cover it all here, but from here, have I got the right thing up? Yeah. Okay, from here, let me copy this. This is from, if you see on the left, Freedom of Information Act Electronic Reading Room. All right, so you don't even have to pay for these. You can go right like I did, and let me show you some stuff. This is talking about, if you click on any of these pages, that it keeps going on and on, but this is what happens when you click on this. You get all of this stuff. A lot of it is redacted. I'm just going to scroll for a second, but this is actually from the government research, and downloaded several of these. But here you can see this is kind of like a synopsis. It's really hard to read. I think they do it this way so it kind of puts you off. But you can see it shows in here how Operation Bluebird, which is what Carol started in, and it turned into Project Artichoke. So you see that Artichoke Bluebird. It talks about going on down here, behavior control and drugs of interest. Now, I have to be very careful saying stuff on YouTube because I can't name actual stuff. It talks about that kind of testing. It tells you a hypnosis testing experiment was between 1951 and 1954, using volunteer agency employees as subjects. Now, let me tell you this, though. They were not all volunteers. I did a video on, it's probably been about 5 or 6 months ago, about microwave monkeys. I can't remember what it was called. It was it wasn't a live, it was a video, but it was about CIA projects and how many people have not been willing. Like, they started with willing people. Now, I would say that Carol was not, I mean, she'll tell you this too. She was a kid. She had there was no way she could say, oh yeah, I'm willing, or, her family, got her into this, and I'll let her tell how that happened and why that happened, tomorrow night. But, yeah, so she went through this for years, and I wouldn't call her willing so much as this is what, her parents said, and then, it just went on and from bad to horrendous. All right, so, but if you notice down here, I don't know if you can see my little mouse, but it's talking about the different chemicals that they used. Some of this stuff I have never heard of. Thorazine, I have. Thorazine now, just so you know, it is almost never used. I think it may be outlawed. I know it's outlawed to use for the elderly. You cannot use it. And they really don't let you use it unless the circumstances are beyond what are just completely uncontrollable. Because Thorazine turns you into a zombie. So, they're giving people Thorazine, and then they're giving them stimulants. Some of these things I do not know. This is a drug that I cannot say, but it is definitely on the hyper side. Y'all know what I mean? A derivative is very popular now. So these are all the things, and you're talking about giving these to people who are not necessarily willing. Okay, so then because what they were doing back then, really is they were trying all these things. It's like, oh, okay, we want to control people. The government wanted super soldiers. They still do, but now there's a better chance of it with AI and robots and stuff. But back then they were realizing what they could do was like maybe do an implant. Let's do mind control therapies as far as words, and which is what Project Bluebird was about. You're not saying anything. What do you know about Project Bluebird?
I don't know a lot about anything. I mostly just research for my own enjoyment, and I'm really just I'm very invested. So I'm not trying to not talk. I'm just like, I feel like a viewer.
Well, we talked about earlier how Bluebird was a series of words and responses. It was like conditioning of your brain by saying certain phrases. Again, that's something that Carol told us last year. What the words, the phrases were, the triggers. As a matter of fact, and I might let her tell the story, but did you know And did y'all know that anybody who has been a victim of any kind of mind control or implantation or something like this, they have what we would call a kill switch? Okay? They are words that, or a trigger of some kind that will make them self-destruct self-harm. And she almost, I'll let her tell that story. She almost unalived herself because someone said the trigger words. And that was horrendous. But she didn't even realize, because see, it's buried so deep in your subconscious that you don't even know. Like, it could be Sachi's up here. So if you see some movement, like, let's say the word was Sachi. Somebody says that and you have no idea. Hey, you know what, Daniel? I actually thought about this a whole lot. What was the emblem for Twitter? A little bluebird. Yeah, I know. I thought about that a lot. All right, but just so you know, you can let me put that link down in here. So there's a whole lot of stuff, whole lot of projects. If you want to read the actual government documents, go to that link, and then you can keep going from there and download whatever you want. I've got a lot of it downloaded, but I haven't even gotten through it yet. Let's see. Y'all are having such a good discussion. Yes. I mean, you're right. This has been going on. It goes back further still historically. Women in the 1800s were fed laudanum, other things, to calm hysteria, which hysteria is a Greek word that literally translates to uterus. If you have not seen the movie Hysteria, I don't know whether to tell you to watch it or not, but I'm saying it is based on real events. Hysteria was a real diagnosis, and the cure was quite interesting. Just put it that way. Yes, Lee. Yeah, we still refer to it as the Thorazine shuffle. If you've been a nurse for a while, you know. Yeah, they were very zombie-like. Okay, so this is what you can see Project Bluebird was doing. Now let me go to something else. Let's see. Oh, let me share this link with you too, because let me copy this. Again, this is all Dr. Delgado, and even though it might not be like you really want to study what he did, remember, this is the baseline. This is what they were thinking. This is the mindset. Is very interesting to read. I mean, so this is the missing manuscript of Dr. Jose Delgado's radio-controlled bulls. All right, so you can click on this, and this is also telling you, okay, let's see. All right, let's just read this part. You want to read this part?
Oh, putting me on the spot. Sorry if I stutter, guys. Just the whole thing?
Yeah.
You may remember the moment when you first learned about Dr. Jose Delgado's remote-controlled bulls. The 1960s era experiment where a Spanish scientist used a radio transmitter to electrically stimulate a part of the brain of a bull, stopping the bull in full charge. For me, it was spring of 2002 in the first year of graduate school. The experiment was discussed to demonstrate an eye-catching, bizarre mix of neuroanatomy knowledge, role of electrode placement on behavioral effect, technology of neural interface construction, the design of stimulating and receiving circuits, and bravado testing on charging bull.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine? Like, you have to really, here's the thing. You have to really believe that your stemoceiver is going to work, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure he tested it with a bull locked
Well,
up.
oh yeah, I'm sure he did, but even just testing it with a bull locked
Yeah.
up, like, you got to really believe in your product,
Yeah.
okay? Because it's a one shot chance. Like, if it doesn't work,
Yeah.
you're gonna be gored to death. So, yeah, this is the bull Lucero in mid charge. So we did see the video of that. Okay. I love this part. When the photograph is shown in a classroom, hands immediately pop up in a wait, what moment, but we cannot give more information. Yeah. They kind of, it was a big national thing. Oh my God, look what they did. And then, they wanted to, they wanted people to know, but as soon as people knew, they did what humans do. We ask questions. Hey, how did you do that? What all can it do? Can it control me? All this kind of stuff. And then there was like silence, because for years they wanted to say, if you, it's, the internet has made things almost impossible to hide nowadays. But prior to that, when you would talk about MK Ultra and, Project Bluebird and stuff like that, it was just like people would laugh at you. And they would say, "Oh, that's just nonsense. That's just that's conspiracy theory. There was no such thing." Well, now we can see we've got the papers. Because the government, after so many years, they release them. And why do you think the government released them? What's your thought?
Maybe because they're doing something worse. So so they were like, let's be honest about this to gain trust while we're doing something even more disturbing.
Exactly. Because to me, it's like a big, oh, okay, you know what? We are really sorry for what we did. We realize this is terrible. And yes, it is true. Those people, all these witnesses that are coming out, yes, it is true. But we have, mended our ways and we don't do this anymore. Yeah. If you believe that, I've got some land to sell you. But anyway, yeah, it's crazy. I think that's why too. I think there were too many whistleblowers and they're like, "Oh yeah, we did this, but we're not doing it anymore." But all during this time after this news came out, then it kind of went underground. Like you couldn't find stuff about it. Certainly the world wasn't as connected, but all of a sudden they didn't want to talk about it anymore. Yeah, because it says, disappointingly, his experiments on bulls are discussed only in passing in 2 paragraphs, and this is in the New York Times on 167 through 168. They showed the photographs and all this, and then, poof, they go away. But yeah, if you want to look up this, there's that link, and it goes way in depth of stuff. And what is, I think, so disturbing, when you read this, it's like we know we have so much better technology now, but you're looking at a time when we didn't know jack squat, and it was like we didn't understand that these things. So you imagine in the 50s and 60s. Sorry. It looks like my eyes are I'm attracting bugs. Maybe it's time to take a bath.
Yeah, just be glad y'all aren't here right now.
But no, it's like you didn't have a clue. Now we're looking at, when you read this stuff, you see what their frame of mind is, and they're not in these documents. It's not. They didn't have like politically correctness,
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, we want to control people's minds, and there's just out there in writing, and you're like, huh? but your government would never do that to you today, right? Yeah. Yeah. So okay, so this is them. Just giving you some pictures. This is Lucero when he was going to be implanted. Again, this implant is important based on what you're going to see tomorrow night. So, that's him you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
All right. This poor bull. I don't know what this is. Oh, post-surgery recovery. That looks like a lot of blood loss, don't it?
Attachment points for the brain stimulation electronics are the 3 red plugs.
Okay, the 3 red plugs in the bandage on the horn. Okay, so they put the stimulators right here.
Do you think it's like horizontally?
I guess. I don't know. Did it go up into his brain? I don't know. I didn't read this whole thing clearly. Man. But yeah, there are. That looks like. Well, no, maybe that's just shadow. No, that doesn't look like shadows. That looks like blood loss to me.
Yeah.
And over here too. That's a lot of blood loss for this poor bull. I mean, not real. I mean, it is, but it's not. I mean, you would think it would be less. Jeez. Wow. Okay.
Well, I guess that kind of puts into perspective it wasn't like just an easy, like, they didn't just quickly put it through. It was obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Well, if they had to, I mean, you'd have to like really sedate the bull to do anything. I mean, it's not like a bull's going to let you do much, but okay. So this is talking about, again, they're talking about the frequencies. Y'all who are very technical that like to look at this, this talks about exactly how they did it. So that's why I wanted to include this. It says, at one point, there's no effect, and they're talking about how they moved it up. And then it says, when they get to a certain point, Dr. Delgado notes that the bull did not move, flee, nor show signals of agitation in response to the stimulation. Okay. And this is something, somewhere in all of these notes, it talks about how Dr. Delgado, he starts this by saying that human behavior can be controlled by stimulating either pain or pleasure. Which, I mean, yeah, of course, it makes sense, but still, here are some cats. They did, this is going to be hard for me. I don't like to see it. Like, I don't like to see this animal stuff, but I just wanted you to know as we scroll through here, this is what it's all about. Okay. So, did I put that link down there? If I didn't, let me put it again. Is that it? I think it is. All right. All right, let me see what you're saying. Yeah, me too. I call horse feathers. Those words actually almost came out of my mouth. Horse feathers. The government didn't stop. They just renamed the so-called projects and changed the names of where the funds for the torture comes from. Absolutely. 100%. All right, so where are we so far? Let me get rid of some of these things that I've already done so I can get more, because I've got tons of information, y'all. Tons. I've done this one. Let's see, let me get rid of that. I've done the New York Times. Done that one. Yeah, I've done that one. And now we did this one. All right. Let me pull this up because this is where we start getting very, it starts getting very uncomfortable. All right. Let me change this too so you can see it better. Okay, because this comes from May 7th, 2008. Now, let me tell you this. Just a short, brief thing. When I started looking at all this stuff, I found a lot of stuff. Clearly Carol sent me some stuff, and then I found some stuff online about all this. But the last kind of things that you're going to see, now this one's from 2008, and like I said, I've got a lot more articles I can share, but it goes up to about 2013. Okay, we start seeing all these more recent articles on stuff that they have planned, but when you get to 2013-ish roundabout, there's like a big gap. All right, everything that I'm saying that you should have seen a follow-up within a year or two, I'm not finding it. Now, maybe it's just the Google search. Maybe if you get on Brave or, DuckDuckGo or some of the other, what are they called? Search engines. You might, but Google does not. There's a big gap between 2013 and 2020. Like 7 years of like really silence that I'm not finding anything. My question is, what was going on in those 7 years? Because it seems like there's almost like a little blackout there. What was going on? Which, I can tell you this just from, cell phones and stuff like that from 2013 to 2023, Am I keeping you awake?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I mean, there was a lot of progression in technology. I mean, Bluetooth, all kind of stuff was just popping up. Like, why doesn't this come up? And I'm going to go back to a lot of your comments here, but let me show this one, okay? Let me get there. Where was I? I just lost it. All right, mind control. I'm sorry. I'm hitting all the wrong buttons. Y'all should have seen some of the stuff that was going on here today. It's really weird. All right, mind control by cell phone. You wanna read this one?
I can.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to scroll too?
Well, yeah. Read and scroll. Read and scroll.
I'm nervous.
Well, read the top so we know what it's about.
Electromagnetic signals from cell phones can change your brainwaves and behavior, but don't break out the aluminum foil head shield just yet.
You might want to.
Yeah. Hospitals and airplanes ban the use of cell phones because their electromagnetic transmissions can interfere with sensitive electrical devices. Could the brain also fall into that category? Of course, all our thoughts, sensations, and actions arise from bioelectricity generated by neurons and transmitted through complex neural circuits inside our skull. Electrical signals between neurons generate electric fields that radiate out of our brain tissue as electric waves that can be picked up by electrodes touching a person's scalp. As someone that's not very into science, this is difficult for me to understand.
Okay. Well, all right. And then they go on to talk about EEGs. Now, medically speaking, an EEG is when they're testing the brain, like they're looking for. There's a lot of reasons that they do an EEG. If you have a history of migraines and stuff, they want to see how your brain is, sparking, what's going on. So when you have an EEG, you have lots. I mean, it ain't just like 4 or 5. Like, it's a ton of electrodes and this sticky gel stuff that gets in your hair and you can't get out. Now, I've never had one, but I've had patients that have had them. And you've got these electrodes all over your head, and, they hook you up to a machine, and, yeah, they're trying to see if you're having an abnormality in the way that your brain electric field is going. And because depending on this, sometimes they can, see why you're having migraines or whatever else is going on in your brain. So, I mean, let's see. Brainwave. This is what's interesting. Brainwaves change with a healthy person's conscious and unconscious mental activity and state of arousal. So the brainwaves actually change, is what they're saying, even if it's unconscious. Okay. Remember, we're not just looking at conscious, we're looking at unconscious too, because how many things do you unconsciously do? I mean, I do a lot. I mean, I pretty much rain, like not rain. My brain waves. What is the word I'm
I don't
trying to
know.
say?
But you're very often on autopilot.
Yes, I am very often. Exactly. Like I'm just, whatever. Don't even think about it. And I think, actually, let's just stop for a second and talk about, do you think, and I don't know if you can actually answer this question, because you are of the generation that there have been cell phones around since you've been around.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that, like, the social media, the phone in the hand, do you think that contributes to going on autopilot?
I think it's definitely possible. I mean, the main thing that concerns me about cell phones is the radiation from, sleeping with it or just being around it all the time. So I think it definitely, if it can transmit radiation, I believe that it can definitely help with rerouting your brainwaves.
Yeah. I mean, I think about how life was without cell phones, and I mean, I can't see that I can't tell that I'm any worse, but I think my opinion is it does kind of make you go on autopilot. Because, I think about this. When you sit down, like when you used to sit down in a doctor's office or whatever, you would look around the room. Sometimes you'd talk to somebody who was in there, but they always had the magazines that were probably nasty because every sick person in the room has touched them. But I digress. You'd get up, read a magazine. Sometimes I would bring magazines or a book with me because you knew you were going to wait for a while. Well, now the first thing, like when we sit down,
Right.
when we have 60 seconds to spare, what do? We pick it up. We pick it up, and, it's just like, what is your go-to? Is it TikTok? Is it Facebook? Is it whatever? Is it YouTube?
Yeah, I agree. I'm obviously just like everybody else. I'm addicted to my phone, but I can commit myself on. I don't automatically, like, I think about what I'm gonna do when I open my phone. But like a lot of my friends, like, that's all they do is get on their phone, and we'll sit down, and even like if I ask them like, hey, can you call my phone? And they open their phone and immediately just click on TikTok because that's just, what they're used to doing in any moment of silence.
I mean, I have the same problem with my cell phone as I do in real life. You know how you walk into a room and you're like, what am I in here for? I pick up my phone. I'm like, I think, oh, I need to make a thumbnail. I need to do this, or I need to check my email. And I pick up my phone and I just stare at the screen. I'm like, what was that? From the time that I had the thought to the time I pick up my phone, which is about 5 seconds, I'm like, huh? What was I even doing on here? I don't know. Yeah. So let's go on with this article, though. All right. Is she in the... I don't know if you can see Sachi. She's got a hold of me. All right. Although a cell phone is much less powerful than TMS, the question still remains. Could the electrical signals coming from a phone affect certain brainwaves operating in resonance with cell phone transmission frequencies? After all, the caller's cerebral cortex is just centimeters away from radiation broadcast from the phone's antennas. Yeah, centimeters. Okay. So they did some studies. Now, I don't know if you want to read the studies or not, but basically they took 120 healthy men and women, a Nokia 6110 cell phone. Like, that tells you how old this is. Whoa, Nokia. It's not even really a name you hear anymore. Okay. One of the most popular cell phones in the world back in the day, this is in 2008, was strapped to their head. Okay, they did a double-blind experimental design. Now, what a double-blind is, you know what a double-blind is? Okay, when they do studies, a blind study will be like a group of people. You've got 2 groups or 3 groups, whatever, whether they're testing drugs or whatever. You have a blind group that they don't even know. They don't know what they're doing, what they're taking. They're just doing whatever they do. But then you have another group that is aware that, the pill they're taking is supposed to do this, or,
Mm-hmm.
Now, double blind means that it's not just blind to a certain group or just the test subjects. Double blind means it's to the researchers at all. So basically nobody knows what's going on. Sounds like my life. Okay. A computer controlled the phone's transmissions in a double-blind experimental design, which meant that neither the test subject nor researchers knew whether the cell phone was transmitting or idle while EEG data were collected. Okay, so I guess they've got all the little electrodes on, and they don't know because computer's controlling it. They don't know when the phone's on, when it's not. They don't know what's going on. They just, they're just chilling. The data showed that when the cell phone was transmitting, the power of a characteristic brain wave pattern called alpha waves in the person's brain was boosted significantly. The increased alpha wave activity was greatest in brain tissue directly beneath the cell phone, strengthening the case that the phone was responsible for the observed effect. So, I mean, I guess which cell phones were smaller then, I don't know, like if they put them here, if they, like, they strapped them somewhere. So it's interesting that they didn't know when the phone was doing something and when it wasn't, and neither did the researchers. But what they did see is they saw an increase. Now, all right. If cell phone signal boosts a person's alpha waves, does this nudge them subliminally into an altered state of consciousness or have any effect at all on the workings of their mind that can be observed in a person's behavior? Well, I can tell you, if you take away a teenager's cell phone, you will definitely get a change in behavior from that child, right? Right. Okay, but now, this was interesting, this part. It says the result was surprising. Not only could the cell phone signals alter a person's behavior during the call, the effects of the disrupted brainwave patterns continued long after the phone was switched off. All right, now again, this is 2008. This was completely unexpected for them. Okay, but it quickly became obvious to them in preparing for the sleep search experiments that some of the test subjects had difficulty falling asleep. And I think this is why they say, like, don't be on your phone 30 minutes, wait an hour, 30 minutes, something like that before you go to bed. And I'm like, you know what? I'm 5 seconds before I go to sleep. I'm like, okay. Whatever. Last thing I do, make sure the alarm's on, all that kind of stuff. So you can see, let me copy this article for you too. So you can go into depth in here. They did standby, listen, talk, all that kind of stuff. And they found that they could not fall asleep for nearly an hour after the phone had been operating. All right, so that's interesting. All right, so we know that it's it's affecting us long after. But what we don't know is all of this stuff. And this is just having a cell phone strapped to your head. All right, and the old ones. So let me go back to here. I mean, have you ever noticed such a thing? I don't think it affects me, honestly. It doesn't affect me. I go right to sleep.
I think yeah, definitely. I struggle to fall asleep, but usually I'm on my phone until I'm like about to just pass out. I'm so tired, so I have noticed somewhat, but I think it's kind of like also like the blue light. Maybe not just the like transmissions of, I think it also could just be having blue light close to your face right before you're going to sleep.
I think potentially. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I fall asleep quickly. I just don't stay there. And I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. Okay, Daniel Price says another thing. back in the day, they tried to push virtual reality devices hard, and the public wasn't really interested. Now, it's everywhere. Yeah, VR is all over.
I think virtual reality, like, it's a very cool idea, but, like, have you seen, like, the Meta, uh, it's a virtual reality thing, but it's, like, you can see and you can, like, scroll through, like, videos and all that, like, while you have this, like, Meta thing on. And, yes, it looks very cool, and if somebody had one, I would definitely use it, but also it was so scary, because I just, like, I guess, like, it's becoming so much more apparent how disconnected everybody is coming, and imagining just, like, I don't know, like, when I saw, like, ads for it, I just felt like I was gonna start seeing, everybody out in public wearing these headsets, and it's scary.
Well, you know what's scary to me, and I've not used VR a whole lot. I mean, it's probably been, gosh, I don't even know, at least 6 years, 6 or 7 years ago when Colton brought in a VR set. And I mean, this was it was like first generation, it was, but I put it, first of all, I'm claustrophobic, so I don't really worry about this kind of thing because anything strapped to my head sends me in a panic. Okay, I can't. Necklaces have to be very loose. Sunglasses I have to take off. I take them off and on, and y'all see me do that with my glasses all the time, push them up, whatever. I can't stand anything on my face. But what I did notice is, he kept on and on. Let's, look at this, and you can see all this different stuff. I think it's really cool when you can use a VR set to like do a Google walk or whatever down the streets of Paris or whatever. Like, you feel like you're there almost,
Yeah.
you're looking around and you feel almost like, but for me, it was, I spent maybe 10 minutes with the set on looking at all this stuff. And, I'm like, I get it, games and stuff, they're funny and you're punching at things that aren't there and all that and looking around. But it was a huge jolt to my system when I took that VR headset off and I was like back in reality. It was like things were a little wonky.
Yeah, I agree. The best VR that I've ever tried out, I think it was like connected to an Xbox, and it was like you're in a cage and there's like sharks swimming around you and stuff. And I'm terrified of the ocean anyway. But honestly, the scariest part was like that in the back of my mind, I know it's not real, but it's like it feels so real. It sounds real. It's like, like
right. And you have the same, even though your logical brain is telling you, like, if you get a VR headset on and a truck is coming down the street, like, you jump out of the way. Because even though it's not real, it takes over your physical senses. Like, you react. Okay? So can you imagine if there was like a little tiny implant in your brain that was like a VR implant that you could switch on or off?
What's that movie? With the pods,
Oh, The Matrix?
Yeah, The Matrix, like The Matrix.
No, I'm thinking it's like an episode of Black Mirror. If y'all haven't seen that, that's some messed up stuff right there. Like, it's scary.
There's actually an episode of Black Mirror that is a virtual reality video game, and
Oh yeah, there is.
yeah, it's called Striking Vipers, and it's disturbing to watch because you're just watching and you're like, what? Well, like, why is this happening? But it really is, I think, a testament to, Meta and other virtual realities in real life.
Yeah. I mean, but if you had, because here's the thing, we're gonna be progressing into the mess that they want to do. Okay, and it sounds like a good idea, but remember these things when we're talking about VR. And if you haven't experienced it, everybody should. Everybody should, because it will really mess up your head, and it takes you a few minutes to get back into reality. A lot of people get messed up just in, video games. They got the headphones on and they've got the big screens and they're all up into this game. I mean, you think of, lots of people I know are into video games. And, even just watching somebody play, I have been invested in what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not even the one playing. But imagine if that was implanted in your head. Okay, now let me go to something else. Hold on. Hold on, let me go somewhere and see which one I want to pull up. All right. I've got several more articles, so let me just pull up a few of them while I'm here. Because it sounds good, y'all. It sounds good. But it's not good. All right, let's go to... right here. All right, let me make sure y'all are seeing this. Okay. All right, and this is in March of 2020, okay? So we're already 4 years into the future.
A lot happened in March of 20.
Yeah, a lot happened. Mind reading and mind control technologies are coming. And you know what? You probably even missed this article because what was the world talking about? We can't say that word on YouTube. They don't like it. But, the thing that happened in 2020. All right. So nobody was looking at this. They weren't thinking about this.
Right.
We were all thinking about, what are we going to do? Okay. The ability to detect electrical activity in the brain through the scalp and to control it will soon transform medicine and change society in profound ways. Yay! Okay, skip down. New methods to stimulate specific brain circuits can treat neurological and mental illnesses and control behavior. Now that sounds like a good thing, right? If you're a raging maniac, coming with somebody with a weapon, oh yeah, we need to control your behavior. But that's the extreme, right? I love the way they say this. The ability to interrogate and manipulate electrical activity in the human brain promises to do for the brain what biochemistry did for the body. All right. When you go to the doctor, a chemical analysis of your blood is used to detect your body's health and potential disease. Yeah, that tells us everything, right? But now, boys and girls, it's almost like an infomercial. All right. Now, using an EEG and other methods can not only reveal neurological illness, but mental conditions like ADHD, which I have, and I definitely refute that it is I know it's a neurodivergence. I do not believe it is a disability. I think it is a superpower. But that's me and my ADHD brain. And schizophrenia. What's more, 5 minutes of monitoring electrical activity flowing through your brain while you do nothing, let your mind wander, can reveal how your individual brain is wired.
Even the wording of that, it sounds like I'm being manipulated.
I know, and this is by, let's go by this. This is the Scientific American. Here, let me grab this one. It's Scientific American. Okay, so this is a trusted magazine, been around for a long time as far as, yeah. I mean, this is what we've read. Okay, tapping into your wandering mind can measure your IQ, identify your cognitive strengths and weaknesses. We'll get to thoughts. Perceive your personality and determine your aptitude for learning types of information. Now, to me, okay, this is a little bit scary, but when it's talking about it can discern your personality and your IQ, doesn't that almost sound like the sorting hat in Harry Potter? They put the hat on you and it tells you what it's like a sorting hat, sorta. But can you imagine 5 minutes of just letting your mind wander and they can determine what your whole personality is like, and your IQ and your
Yeah.
cognitive ability. Like, what if the machine, okay, come on, it's computers. What if it has a glitch that day and it, like, you're being sorted and it tells it something completely wrong?
It's like Fallout when you have your attributes. Maybe it would sort you into a job or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it does sound good. Sounds like efficient.
Yeah, it's efficient. I mean, but what if it tells you you should be what if it tells you you should be a banker and you don't like numbers?
Mhm.
What if you want to be a YouTuber? I mean, come on. What's it going to say? To me, that is really kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but let's go on. Oops. Let's try to go on. I clearly don't know what I'm doing. All right, so it measures your strengths and weaknesses. I don't like that. So here you go. Here's a book. Electrical activity in a preschooler's brain can be used to predict, for example, how well that child will be able to read when they go to school. As I recount in my new book, shameless plug, Electric Brain, after having brain waves in my idling mind recorded, blah, 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 5 minutes, it pronounced that learning a foreign language would be difficult for me because of weak beta waves in a particular part of my cerebral cortex. And see, I just feel like this limits you.
Wrong.
I mean, I don't want somebody to tell me, like, what? Like, you don't know. You don't know. The machine doesn't know. If I want to do something, I will find a way.
Mm-hmm.
So, how will this ability to know a person's mind change education and career choices? Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of problems with that. Like, what if you are just set on being a doctor and you have this thing done and they say, no, you are way more artistic. Like, you're going to have a really hard time being technical because it is very scientific and technical, medical is. So what if it says, what if you want to go to a college and you've been accepted into a college, so they're like, yeah, you're smart, you'll do good. Like, what if the sorting hat, I'm just going to refer to it as the sorting hat, okay? What if the hat says you should be, do something artistic and you want to be a doctor? What if they say, you know what, we're not going to pay the government or the student loans or whatever? What if they say, we're not paying for you to go to medical school because you were not cut out for that? I mean, can you see the potential danger in this kind of thing? This is ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. All right, so what do you want to say?
It's very interesting. It says,
Let me go up some.
Nothing is more private than a thought, but that privacy is no longer sacrosanct.
Yeah, because, okay, here is where, look, armed with the ability to know what a person is thinking. Look, I don't want nobody inside my head. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want nobody inside. First of all, I can assure you, the computer, the sorting hat will explode. It'll start sizzling.
Yes, and also, I feel like if I knew somebody was listening to my thoughts, I would automatically think, like, the most, like, messed up things because I'm just so nervous.
I don't know. I mean, I might be deer in a headlight. I might be trying to, like, let's meditate. Clear your mind. Don't, y'all, just so you know, I'm not into meditation, for one thing. Secondly, if you are going to do anything, never blank out your mind. Okay, there are reasons for that. Never blank out your mind. But I think I would probably, in an effort to try to hide it, and I don't even know if you can. Like, I don't know. What is this person, like, what does the sorting hat know? I mean, it's like, can I think of something so simple like a pond or a brook and just concentrate on the rocks, the sounds of the water? Like, is there a way? Because now I'm already trying to combat this.
Right.
Is there a way that I can stonewall my mind?
Right, that's because I remember, like, when I was little, I used to always try to, like, I would, like, try to, like, clear my mind, you know, and I would try to just think of something, and then I'd be like, I have such a, like, annoying, internal monologue.
Yeah.
And so I'll be like thinking of nothing, and then I'll just see like white, and I'm like, wait, well now I'm thinking of like a white room, like, you know, like it was like I was always like fighting with myself, you know, like you're not really thinking about nothing. It's just like stupid things that I don't think I would be able to just focus on something simple.
Yeah, well, it's because you're neurodivergent too. I mean, yeah, it's like, you know, you could probably get so many things for 5 minutes. Do you know how many places my brain can
Right.
go in 5 minutes? Ping, 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 ping. I mean, it's always going, but it's like, yeah, I think now is the time that we need somebody on our side to tell us, to teach us how to stonewall.
Mm-hmm.
Because look, I'm telling you, the world keeps going on like it is. This is what we're looking at. We are looking at the future, y'all.
It's scary.
And just when you think, oh no, they'll never do that.
Yeah,
sorry.
they take it a step further.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, not only that,
Mm-hmm.
look, and when we talk about implants tomorrow, I know Carol is going to be talking about the oldest kind, which is still, like I said, they all have a kill switch. But what we could do now, based on what they did with her then, is absolutely horrifying. And now they don't even need to, they're saying they don't even need to implant you.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about implants and ways that you could be implanted. I know this sounds like you're going to have to break out the tinfoil hats for sure. You can be implanted through what you eat, what you drink. It's that small. So think about that. It's like, I really want to see. I want somebody to run a scan. I don't have any implants. I don't know. What if I do? Yeah, just when you think I'm crazy, you'll find out. It's true. All right. Armed with the ability to know what a person is thinking, scientists can do even more. Of course you can. They can predict what a person might do. Well, you know, that's scary.
Right.
I have a lot of thoughts.
Right, like I might do anything.
Well, yeah. You get mad at somebody, you know, that cuts you off in traffic, you have a thought.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to act on that thought. Well, most of us don't.
Right.
I mean, you know, I'm not going to do, like, you know, if I have to hear this woman yell at me one more time, you know, whatever. It's a thought, but it doesn't mean you are going to act on it. So that, like you have no, that's horrible. What if they start putting you in jail for your thoughts?
Right.
Oh, you thought about unaliving somebody. I sure did, but I wasn't ever going to do it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's, I mean, obviously it's invasive, but I feel like that's invasive to the very idea of the human experience. You know, you have those thoughts, you have these conflicts in your own mind, but they stay there in your own mind unless you actively do something, you know, to,
Right.
and I feel like it's unfair.
Yeah, it's unfair. Yeah, predict what you might do. God, just the thought. That woman's a loose cannon, y'all. It's like, God. Just and his team are able to tell if a person is contemplating unaliving themselves simply by watching how the person's brain responds to hearing words like death or happiness. That often comes as a shock because people talking about the celebrities, Robin Williams and Anthony Bourdain, because they conceal these thoughts from their loved ones. But, still, such brain hacking to uncover that someone is thinking of harming themselves could be life-saving. Yes, it could be. But it also could be a disaster. You know, they want to throw Columbine in. See what I'm saying? You know, oh yeah, they're saying, we can protect people. We can protect them. Like, we can, keep them from harming themselves. We can, prevent crimes just by knowing what. Wouldn't you feel safer if you knew if your neighbor was, going to, harm you? Or like, part of you is like, well, yeah, but no.
And honestly, and if we know anything about the government, it is not going to target or prevent these types of things. It's going to be things that don't matter, or people that, don't deserve whatever.
I mean, think about what it could do for an election.
That's true.
I mean, it is an election year. You have to think. What if you're already implanted? What if there's already stemosavers somewhere? Or what if that comes? Or what if you allow it because you think, okay, this is going to be good because this, and this? I mean, it's kind of like, I think of it like, you're too young to remember 9/11. But prior to that, like I said, on our last slide, we didn't think, like, nobody was going to listen to us on a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was going to invade our privacy of, anything. But after 9/11, we were all like, yeah, you can listen to our phone calls. You can do anything you want because we want to be safe. Well, that is the same way they're going to market this.
Right.
You want to be safe. You want to know what somebody in your town or your neighborhood, or like you're in a public place at a concert, whatever. You want to know if there's somebody who's got abnormal brain activity, planning something. Well, that sounds like a great idea, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But mind control. The ability to control electrical activity in brain circuits has the potential to do for brain disorders what electrical stimulation, remember that's what we're talking about with Dr. Delgado, has accomplished in treating cardiac disorders. And of course, they're talking about the pacemaker. But by beaming electrical or magnetic pulses through the scalp and by implanting electrodes in the brain, researchers and doctors can treat a vast array of neurological and psychiatric disorders, from Parkinson's disease to chronic depression. It sounds like a great idea. Let's cure all these people. And let's implant something. But here's the thing. I think it's going to be like, you have to sign these papers. Like, you don't know.
It's going to be as many pages as Project 2025.
Yeah. It's like, okay, you have to sign these papers. And we're all conditioned to doing that now anytime you have a procedure. And in the small print, are they going to tell you, oh, yeah, it's going to be able to cure your Parkinson's or, your depression or whatever. Oh, but, we also know what you're thinking, so there's that. But that'll be in tiny print, or maybe worded in a way that you have no idea what they're actually talking about. You're like, okay, I want to cure this. So do you see where this is horrifying? Okay. Now, this is talking about Tulane, and they inserted electrodes into a homosexual man's brain to cure him of his homosexual nature by stimulating his brain's pleasure center. Now, see, look at this right here. They even reference Dr. Delgado, right? They're going all the way back to the beginning with what he started. He used brain stimulation to monkeys and people, and even a charging bull. Yeah, look at, yay, Dr. Delgado, you were the grandfather, the great grandpappy of all this ridiculousness. And his goal was to relieve the world of deviant behavior. So let's see what happened. Okay, so now they're talking about. Wait a second, are they going to tell us what happened to that guy? Did I miss that? I wonder did they cure him? I wonder if they did, or are they not saying? I kept looking for the answer. I thought it was in here. Okay. I guess they're not going to say, what if it failed? I don't know. They're saying, yeah, presently we use drugs for all this. Yes, we do. remove brain tissue. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, like, look, we do a lot of bad things or whatever, questionable things, even with drugs. Y'all know. Um, okay. I'm sorry. I'm just taking a second to try to see what happened. And I don't think they're saying.
I don't think so.
That's weird. They wrote this article and they just
Why
put
would
that
they
in there.
reference it?
Yeah, they reference it and they're like, oh, well, they tried this. Well, and, um, okay. But, you know, down here, they're talking about applied to human. They're talking about fiber optics, which is, you know, of course, very much smaller than, you know, the big things that you saw in the monkey's brain. So applied to humans, optogenetic stimulation. So that would be like they're doing it like from the eyes. Could relieve many neurological and psychiatric disorders. That sounds good. Okay, it sounds good. So do you see? Let me go back now to what everybody is saying. So I mean, do you see how they have done this article to convince you? And there's actually a lot of articles out there like this to convince you that this is a good thing. Hey, we're gonna treat your disease. We're not gonna just, you know, if you have psychiatric problems, we're not just gonna give you pills and hope that it helps and it reduces the urges or helps your depression. Like, we're gonna cure it, like 100% cure of Parkinson's and all this kind of stuff. And you don't even have to take a pill again. You just have to have this, you know, procedure, this implant. You know, by the way, we're going to know every secret you ever had and every thought that you're ever going to think. But it's a small price to pay, isn't it, for being cured? All right, let me go back some. Hello, Alan Coker. Let's see. What are you looking at?
I'm gonna make my tinfoil hat into a Burger King crown.
Where's the I'm gonna make my tinfoil hat into a Burger King crown. Yeah. Yeah, and there's another thing. Remember, it's because brainwashing isn't completely wiping out everything. It's just rerouting perceptions of thoughts or stimuli. You know what this whole thing made me think of? There is a movie, and I've only seen parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing. But it is called The Eternal Sunshine of the...
That is on my watch list.
Of the... something mind?
Like the internal... Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember.
But it's basically where this couple is having problems and they completely erase their history. Like all the things that... I've heard it's a good movie. It almost seems dystopian to me.
It reminds me... What I've seen of it reminds me so much of Black Mirror. Like the clips I'd seen of it, I genuinely thought it was Black Mirror.
Oh, no, this came out way before Black Mirror.
I know,
But, yeah. But it kind of made me think of that. Like, you know, and I think, here's the thing. Imagine, okay? There's so many ways to sell this product. And I've got an article somewhere. Oh, here, let me put this in the comments. This link to this article. I've got another one somewhere, and it's talking about Elon Musk and Bill Gates. And it's talking about how they wanted this project called Next, N-E-X-T, Mind, Next Mind. And it was kind of like that. But, I mean, I can see, imagine that you are... Oh, let's just take any routine situation that you are a happily married woman and you've got kids and you're very much in love with your husband, and all of a sudden one day you find out that he's cheating and, you know, he decides to leave you, blah, blah, blah. And then there you are, like completely devastated, brokenhearted. You cannot get over it. Like, imagine that you are suffering, you're not getting better. And someone comes along and says, you know what, we can get rid of your depression. We can just remove all of the happy memories. All you know is that you had a relationship at one time and you've got these kids, but you won't feel anything emotional about it because you will have no memory. I mean, I can think of, or even the pain of losing a spouse or losing your mom or dad or whatever, somebody close to you. Can you imagine how tempting it would be to say, look, I need to have this taken out of my mind because I am not functioning in life, you know? I can see where it would be really, really a seductive way, you know? Whether it's mental health or whether it's physical, you know, I can see it coming. Minority Report. You know what? I have not watched that. You know what? It's not because I don't watch good movies. It's because I'm always doing research. So that has something to do with AI and dossiers on citizens. Look, I can see that happening too. Yeah. Let me go down to your more recent comments. Yes, that's a good point, Daniel. That's treading dangerous ground because anyone can have a loose interpretation of what they perceive as deviant, even if it's not really deviant. Yeah. Yeah. You know, because what I consider deviant and what you consider deviant are not always the same.
And not to keep referencing, but I mean, we were saying that same thing when we were talking about Project 2025, and I think something to think about is that there are ways in which the two can be connected, you know, with what we were talking about, how scary it is, you know, about how the wording was final and how it was, you know, it was like what's going to happen after.
Right.
If we have mind control, maybe it's not we don't have another election, but it's like we all are on the same page because
right. Yeah. I mean, I can see where either side, whether it's the liberal or the conservative, you know, they would be in favor of this. Let's have everybody implanted for some reason or another. Because, I mean, you sit around and you think, who doesn't have something wrong with them?
Right.
You know, I mean, I don't take medicine for anything except to sleep. Melatonin. I take melatonin to sleep.
Yeah, me either.
Well, that's to keep me to sleep. I can fall asleep. I just can't stay there. So, you know, that's the thing. It's like any reason that you would take a pill, blood pressure, diabetes, you know, anxiety, depression. Like, what if they could just fix it? You know? And then you have so many, let's just say even the majority. Let's talk about the majority of people have some kind of diagnosis, whether it's a minor one or a major one. So if they're going to fix all that and you implant people, it's only a matter of time before, the powers that be, you know, they just decide, okay, everybody's going to be liberal. Everybody's going to be conservative. So all of a sudden, you know, you're like, oh yeah, Project 2025, woo, 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 you know, or whatever, you know. It certainly would be easy to control the whole world and the whole population, wouldn't it? It's very, very scary. And, I mean, I have articles all the way up to 2023. And so, you know, you can see the thing of it is, you can see where we came from. That was the whole point of this discussion, is to see where it started, still referencing Dr. Delgado, even, you know, as recently, that article was 2020. You can see what the plan has been all this time. Let's control human behavior, right? So when we talk to Carol tomorrow, a lot of you have heard her story, and it is, if you look in my playlist, it's about a year ago, and it is billed MK Ultra. It's got Carol's name on it, and that is the long version. Actually, she did 2 videos when she learned some more information, but it is the long story of how she came to be part of MK Ultra, Bluebird, the whole 9 yards. And now she has said for years that she was implanted. Now, again, we're talking about implants in the 50s and 60s. I'm not sure which one. She'll let us know. I've got pictures, I've got video, not of things like this, of Carol and the things that she has done and the reports that she has. And she's going to be walking us through that tomorrow and talking about how this has affected her all these years up to this day. Okay, because those things are not coming out. Like, she has to live with those implants. And you can see, I've seen the pictures of the scars in her head. She shaved her head today. Like, literally, I have a video of her shaving her head. I mean, it is a horrible thing for a woman to have to do. But she did it so you could see the actual scars. And you can see that they're not, like, look, they're designs. They're designs. They're not, like, this didn't happen because you fell onto a coffee table. Like, this was manipulated. This was done on purpose. And so she's going to be showing us that. I'll be showing you the picture and the videos, and Carol is going to be describing and telling you what is going on. But I wanted us all to be aware of, like I said, where we've come from, where we're going, how it's affected her, and how it can and most likely will, if we don't put a stop to it, how it will in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And is this what you want? So somebody needs to be, like I said, somebody needs to be on it, telling us, how do we shield our mind from this kind of stuff? Because what if it's just, at some point, this right here, we don't even have to have electrodes in our head. Right. What if it's just our cell phone that is going to be putting waves? There's a lot of people that say that 5G does that kind of stuff. Not going to break out the tinfoil hat, but it is possible. All right. I don't even know what some of y'all are talking about. I'm not going to highlight it. I'm like, what? I missed that part of the conversation. Yeah. Okay. He's suggesting equilibrium. I haven't seen that one either. All right. So tell me what you think. Please come back tomorrow night at 6 p.m. We're going to talk to Carol, look at some horrifying pictures, and listen to her talk. Is there anything else that you have to say? Any thoughts? What are your closing thoughts, Jam?
Closing thoughts. Throw away your phones. Throw away your TVs. Stay inside. Wear your tinfoil hats.
Agreed. Agreed. Let's just stay inside. But there's going to be a run on aluminum foil after that. I'm telling you, yeah. Yeah, stay away. All right. I'm glad. So appreciate you so much. Have a good evening. Think about it. If you find any articles or something that you want to share, that you want to talk about, put it in the comments. Or email them to me silkyandsouthern@gmail.com, and let me read them, go over them. There are so many things that I want to talk about. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the world right now, but I'm going to end this stream. Y'all have a beautiful Saturday night. Thank you so much, Jam, for coming and giving us your thoughts.
Thank you for having me.
All right. I will see you later. And whatever you do, just stay silky. Bye-bye.